Okay, part 3 of the Spyderco 2008 catalog review by Nutnfancy. Let's get going. Told you there's a lot to talk about. Hope you're having fun. I am. It's fun talking about this stuff. Alright, so on the next page we go to the the assist, this orange handled knife. It's a rescue knife we're told was made for a U.S. law enforcement agency. Not necessarily rescue, just a specialized knife. Won't ever get it. Sorry. And they needed a blunt tip for some reason. I don't. And then we get again to the talon-shaped karambit style blade, the civilian. Yes, I got an X next to those. I'll never get or review either one of those. At least I'm not planning on it. Sorry. Now, I criticized the Spyderco serrations as being coarse, but I think in the version or in the application of a rescue knife, they're fine. Because I know in a rescue knife, I generally will not be doing delicate blade work, and I think they're fine. In fact, I have that one. You see a check mark next to it. That means I have a Spyderco 93mm. I really like that blue handled version. I wish mine was blue handled. I have a standard black version. I got it for a really good price though, so I couldn't pass it up. And I don't mind the black. I just like a little variety in my handle colors once in a while. Really nice though. Then they have the shorter Rescue 79mm. I think both of them are excellent blades. Really like them. They're super light too. Why? Because Spyderco hasn't ruined them by putting the steel liners in them yet. That's right. Just like this knife, the Salt 1 isn't ruined by steel liners yet, or H1 steel, whatever they would have to put in this Salt knife. See, it's just Zytel handle, just like these rescue knives are, and that's why they're so light. You have a Rescue 93mm only weighs 2.6 ounces. And you know what? If I'm a paramedic or someone who's going to be using a knife of this sort, weight is very critical. And I've always said that, and you'll see more videos as I discuss that. I take everything in a systems approach. I'm not just carrying a blade. Everything blends together as a system. And if I'm packing more weight with one item, whether it be a knife, a gun, magazines, binoculars, laser rangefinders, you know, whatever, it's less mobility, more fatigue. Always in a tactical environment. Rescue wave, same comments apply. That's why I have an X. I talked about in part 1, I believe, what my feelings on the wave feature. I know you love it, but for me, I'm not into it because I want it to be consistent in my knife deployment. Hey, this Dragonfly is cool, and when you see a box next to it in my catalogs, that means I'm going to get it. Not going to get the stainless steel version, of course, or the etched version. I think the etched version is actually kind of cool, but it's heavier. I like the regular FRN version of Dragonfly, and from what I've seen of all the websites I frequent, it sells like crazy. This knife does. It's affordable. Actually, they just raised the price on it, unfortunately, but it's still affordable. And it's light. It's in the realm of my favorite EDC. How you doing? Once again, the Sog Flash 1. 1.2 ounces. It's the same exact weight, in fact. So that's a nice blade. You will see a review by me on the Spyderco Dragonfly. That's a great EDC knife. Now, I won't know it's great actually until I start using it, so I'm kind of jumping the gun. But it seems to me it would be. The only issue I would have is that thick leaf blade for EDC tasks. Like I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I kind of like the thinner blade for EDC. Well, I'm talking about width-wise, like this. You know, the width of the blade. However, it looks ergonomic, price is right, well made, good steel. What's not to like? Couple unusual knives here, just don't float my boat. You know, this reverse funky cricket thing, I just not into that. How do you sharpen that? I mean, that's a pain in the butt to sharpen. It's only a 1 7/8 inch blade. Actually, but it just looks like a hassle to sharpen. And also for EDC, how do you use that for EDC? So when I see a knife like this, what's it for? Is it And you know I'm simple-minded. It's either got to be for EDC or tactical, defensive or EDC. It's way too tiny to be defensive knife, and yet it has kind of a hooked bill on it. And you'll see my review on the Kershaw Leak, and I'll give you my opinions on delicate tips, and I just don't like them. That's why I like the sweat blade shapes, you know, like you see me reviewing a lot of. I think they're just more efficient cutters. Their tips are durable, they hold their edges better. I'll never buy that knife. Now here we have a remote release 2. It's got the clip on it. I'm not a big fan of clipped knives because it's just not how I carry my knives. And if that's not how I carry my knife, why should I add a clip to the end of my knife? It adds length, weight, and complexity. You know. Now, if you use that method, maybe, and most people I see using clipped knives are non-knife people. These are people that are not into blades. They don't know a thing about knives. And that's why if you go into REI or something, they have a lot of clipped knives. Because they're selling consumers on the idea of, hey, you know what? You're not really a knife person because you're just clipping the knife to your backpack. That's kind of nice. You know, so somehow they think it's non-tactical or whatever. And I don't fault this design at all. I think it's fine. I like the blade size. Again, I'm not a big fan of the serrations. And the clip's fine. But that's just not how I carry my knives. I dig just a normal clip. Now, if I'm in a tactical environment, I also use the pistol ammo pouches that I've showed you in some of my other videos. That's a great way to carry a knife. Then we get into the military. I did a review on this. You can refer to it. I will agree that the military has a weak tip, and maybe you could give it a hit on the liner lock, that it may not be the strongest liner lock out there, but the rest is good. It's got a nice big handle to hold to, you know, use it in tactical scenarios. I love that. It's got great checkering on the G10. They used really good G10 scales on it. Construction's good, the steel's good, la-di-da-da. All that stuff I said in my videos. The only thing is I don't like that pivot mounted clip. Why did they not go 4 position on this? I just don't know. Now, you may be shocked to see on the next page though I have an X next to the paramilitary. Oh man, you love the military, why don't you get in the paramilitary? Well, because this knife designed to me, the large handle, and let me explain what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my ratio of the handle to blade is out of whack on both the military and the paramilitary. I have a larger handle than I do a blade. See that? To me, that is a defensive knife. A knife that gives me a lot of real estate to grasp it on, that's a tactical knife I would use in a defensive encounter, not EDC. For EDC, I want more of a 1-to-1 ratio because having an absolutely large grip that my hand won't slip off is not critical to me. And then when you go to a paramilitary, it's a shorter blade, less than 3 inches. Well, let me I'm sorry, little over 3 inches. My mistake. But still, it's not a long blade. That's not a defensive blade to me. Again, like I've said in some other reviews, a defensive blade is one that you have some reach on. You know, getting up there towards 4 inches. Now, that's not to say you couldn't use it in that scenario, but what I'm talking about is a ratio of handle to blade. And to me, that speaks to a defensive knife. And yet, it's not a defensive knife because the blade's too short for this. So, for my money, I went with the military. And it's so close to these designs, I'm not going to go out and spend $100+ on a paramilitary. So, that's my thinking on it. I may change in the future. I think it's a good knife. I really do. And I have handled paramilitaries. I'm just not going to get one now. Then we get to the natives. A lot of hype about the native, and I think it's mostly hype. Again, I'm an independent reviewer. I don't go into the forums. I don't like getting influenced by people. I'm just going to lay it out how I see it. I don't run my ideas past others. Sorry. The native I don't like. And I just don't like it. I'm sorry if I offend you with that, but I know a lot of guys love it. I just don't like. Now I'm going to give you an asterisk to it, and you may like my part 2 of that. I don't like the grind of the blade, the swage up at the top, how it's ground. And I have had a native, by the way. I had one, and I got rid of it. I just didn't like it. I didn't mind the weight. I think the weight's fine, 2.7 ounces. Size was okay. The choil, I forget exactly what issue I had, but there was something around this area I just did not dig.